Okay, and welcome to the Reclaim Your Edge podcast, where we talk about the real moments people lose their sharpness and their decisions, and then we're going to help them get them back. So, I'm Adam Alexander, and in each episode, I sit down with experts from different professions and people with real life stories to unpack what's been happening underneath the surface and also what it is costing you and what you can also do about it as well. We're not going to be talking about hype, there's no fluff, it's just going to be honest conversations and also practical takeaways that you can use immediately. So today I am speaking to Sarah Farmer, who specializes in imposter syndrome. We're going to break it down. We're also going to look at how it shows up, the impact it has, and how you can reclaim your edge if this feels familiar. So let's get into it. Sarah, thank you for joining us on episode one, right? Episode one of Reclaim Your Edge. So Sarah, if you'd like to, before we jump in properly, just introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and where you're from.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm honoured to be the number one guest. Appreciate it. So Sarah Farmer, as it says on the screen, I am an multi-award winning international coach, actually, as of last year. I'm the author of the best-selling book, Leader Unleashed, and I am a coach that specialises in imposter syndrome, as you've just said, and I work with senior leaders and leadership teams, helping them develop not just the right level of confidence, but also the right level of people skills to be able to do what I describe as leading brightly. So that means being able to be really effective more of the time. I think we've got a bit of an echo as well, so apologies if that's me. I don't know if that's me or you.
I don't know. But let's just carry on. Let's just carry on. It's always good to hear us more. So Sarah, like this isn't the first time either. Like I remember, this is. We did one of these like 3-4 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah,
on yours, wasn't it?
Yeah, I used to run a show called The Business Brunch, and yeah, you came on, and ever since then, I've been drinking or attempting to drink 2 liters of water every day. That's the impact it had on me.
That's it. Cool. So Sarah, like what is imposter syndrome? Like, if we had to talk about it in layman's terms, right? Like, really break it down simply. Like, what is imposter syndrome? Because people hear about it, but some people may not understand what it is.
Yeah, and there's a lot of confusion about what it is and what it isn't. So, in its simplest terms, it is a consistent and often persistent faulty thinking habit. That's how I would describe it. So it's patterns of thinking that are not necessarily true or helpful, but they get in your way and make you feel that big, right? It is not the same as a normal level of trepidation that you might get when you're going into an interview or starting a new job or starting something new, meeting someone new. It's not that. This is where people actually, in extreme, stop from moving forward. So they actually get stuck completely, or to get to the point they want to be at takes a whole lot longer. It's far less fun, and it drains their energy because they are fighting this inner narrative all the time to get there. So that would be, I hope that makes sense of what it is and what it isn't.
Nice. So what could be like, for if we were to like how would it show up?
Okay.
Like, how would it start to show up for people?
Yeah. So there's 3-4 main signs that I talk about. There are more, and what's really important is to look for clusters of clues. What you often find is people think they've got a bit of information, they see one clue and think that's it's imposter syndrome, or it isn't. So I would urge anyone listening to this to look for clusters of clues. One sign does not mean imposter syndrome is at play. And before I explain what the 3-4 main signs are, I just wanted to make it really clear that this is not a female issue. It's just as prevalent in men. Men may not want to present with it as much as women, but it's just as prevalent in men. And it affects what we perceive as really capable, confident, competent people, including senior leaders. It is one of the best kept secrets in the boardroom. People don't want to talk about it. So the more potential we have for a bigger failure, or bigger cost to a failure, which happens as we go up the chain, the larger the chance that imposter syndrome can start to show up. Okay, so it exists, and it also exists in around 70% of people at some stage in their career. So it's prevalent, right? The way to recognize it is the first sign is feeling like a fraud. So that's one of the biggest signs. And that can be, it feels like you've kind of walked into a bar, you've gone into the VIP section thinking I shouldn't be there. You're holding your drink, and then you realize you are supposed to be there. Your name was on the list, but you're still waiting for someone to tap you on the shoulder and go, off you go, you're in the wrong room. And I remember having exactly this feeling when I was gone to get my degree certificate, waiting in the massive auditorium, with your hat on, your cloak on, waiting to go up and get your certificate. I was just waiting for someone to go, are you kidding me? Do you really think you got a degree in applied chemistry? That was going through my head all the time, and I remember it vividly. And when I got up on stage, I still felt like I shouldn't be there. That's imposter syndrome. You should be there. You're meant to be there, but your brain's telling you don't belong there. All right. So that's the first sign, is feeling like a fraud. The second sign, and they kind of go two together here, is procrastination and perfectionism. I lump them together because they sit hand in hand a lot of the time. Procrastination is the classic, I've got something I should be doing, it's urgent, it's important, but I will go and clean the fridge instead. I will go and find anything to do other than the thing I need to do. Or it might be, before I do that,
scrolling on social media.
Yes, scroll on social media. I'll just go on another course. I'll just read another book about that. I won't make the decision that I need to make, and I'll keep procrastinating. And then what we've got also is perfectionism, where nothing is ever quite good enough. You can be 99% ready to do something, which in anyone else's book would be perfect, but you just can't do it. And one of the best examples I've got of that is a newly promoted HR director who started a job, so an opportunity to have real impact in their job. And they spent a lot of time reworking, recreating HR policies, which were absolutely essential, and then never shared them because they weren't good enough. Surely they should have been done before if they were that important. All these constant, don't share it, don't show it, just in case. So that isn't just a missed opportunity for impact, but it's a waste of time, energy, and that negative feedback loop into your head. Look, you can't even do this. Look how rubbish you are. And the third one is playing small. So this shows up with people self-deprecating too much. I call it humble plus in the book. It's a bit more than just having a joke at yourself. This is, you always apologize before you speak, or, oh, I know I'm really thick, but is it this? Once or twice, it's funny. But if you constantly put yourself down, people start to wonder about you, and that puts you on the back foot. And it constantly tells you, I'm not good enough, I'm not big enough. This shows up a lot when people say in a boardroom meeting, and they know they need to add some value and say something, and they just stay quiet. They won't say anything because they're worried. These people are better than me, they're bigger than me, they're more grown up than me, they've been here longer than me. What if I say the wrong thing? So we shrink ourselves to fit into a space that feels comfortable, not seen, not heard. And again, that is massive missed opportunity for impact, but it also puts your job at risk, because if we're not adding value, why are we there? And in the world where we're in today, where people are looking at their value versus an AI or a bot, we really need to start vocalizing the value that we're bringing and adding value in every opportunity that we can. So those are the ways. Remember, look for clusters.
Yeah. So I've just been writing it down. So, and this is the thing. It's like you said. One thing you mentioned was that people, especially senior leaders, okay, 70% of people will go through imposter syndrome during their life. That was the figure that you said, wasn't it?
Yeah.
More than that, right? The ones that we know about, okay.
Yeah.
But then you said it becomes more predominant the higher you go up in your role.
It can become. So I think the assumption is that the more experience we have, this is the other sort of mistruth about imposter syndrome, is, well, I'll just get more experience, then I won't be as worried. It doesn't work like that. It's not about a normal level of fear.
No.
So as we get more and more experience and there's more on our shoulders, we can start to worry more, which could then lead into imposter-led thinking.
So, but this is the thing, right? These are very intelligent people. They're very, they've high achievers. They've done, they're doing really well. And they know a lot about, that they need to, about support and all of that, even to get to that level. So, and they would have had support throughout their careers to get to their current level.
Well, would they?
Well,
not all of them. Not all of them.
Okay. Not all of them, but they would have had, they would have had
mentorship or something.
Mentorships, and they would have had, someone to go and talk to.
Yeah.
But why do you feel that people, when it comes to this, that they just they struggle to initiate a conversation around it? Is it fear, or is it the fact that they just don't really know that it actually is this?
It's a really, really good question, and it depends on a few things. But in the main reason is most people don't want to admit that it's happening to them, because especially at the senior levels, I should know what I'm doing, and that's an imposter-led mindset straight away. I should know what I'm doing. I should be better at this. I should be in control. So that narrative makes people go, if I admit that I don't, how am I going to look? Am I going to get what? And then we do what I call faulty thinking patterns and start spiraling. Well, if I do that, then I'm going to end up looking an idiot. Then this will happen. Then I'll lose my job, and then my life is over. So it spirals out of control. So there's a misunderstanding that leaders should know it all. That's the biggest issue. Leaders do not need to know it all. They need to be able to lead themselves effectively, and then encourage others to lead their departments really well, or whatever it is they're responsible for. And the other thing is misunderstanding as well. Is some people will say, "Oh, I just thought it was normal. I just thought this was how I was, how it should be, and how other people think." So there's two things at play there. And then, underneath all of that is there a belief that there is anything you can do about it? So even if I do know there's a problem, and I know it's not great, I don't believe you could change it. They just, so there's that. And then, one of the interesting things about working in this area is trying to help people make the decision to get the help, helping them, encouraging them. They can see the point, but then procrastination comes in because it's possible.
Because it's part of it.
And they'll start to second guess it, going, well, it won't work on me. This won't work. And you're like, right, well, here we have
snowflake syndrome. That's it. Yeah.
We then into the classic avoidance again. So, I mean, I really picked an interesting area to work in.
I know. It's just a cycle. That's what it is. Yeah. You're trying to break a cycle, but they've fixed that cycle, but they're always in that cycle. So that's it. And this is the thing as well, is I wanted to say, like, well, you've just said it. It's like the procrastination. It's like, well, I'm different and all of that, and that people they may not necessarily realize that it is actually something bigger, because they might just go, oh yeah, I'm just procrastinating. They might just see it as just, oh, I just procrastinate. Yeah. When in fact, it's like, it's actually something deeper. And
the ripple effect is real.
Yeah.
The concept. So this is the other thing that people also don't understand is the consequence of it. And
let's get into it.
I talk about this from the heart, because I've struggled with imposter syndrome all of my life. I know when it started. I know why it started. I talk about that in the book, and I am no longer held back by it at all. But it's probably worth noting that I didn't represent as someone with classic imposter syndrome. And I talk about types of imposter syndrome in the book as well. Extreme overconfidence to extreme underconfidence. Both can be imposter syndrome led. We tend to think of it as people who are quiet and timid and don't say very much. I was completely the other way. I masked it by being overconfident, loud, brash, really annoying. I look back at my former self and cringe. So it's worth noting that one size doesn't fit all. But when we look at the consequences of that, the consequences end up being the same, is that you repel from a basic level, you repel opportunities, you repel people. Now, not just by being loud and brash, but by being really quiet and timid and self-deprecating as well. You're making people second guess you. So this means things like, I talk about being hit mentally, physically, and financially. I'm talking about financial at the moment. If we are avoiding going for opportunities, or if we are screwing up our opportunities because we're overconfident and a bit brash and hiding that we're scared, you're not going to get the opportunities that you want. You might miss out on promotions, you might miss out on bonuses, you might miss out on all sorts of things. So this starts to hit us in the pocket, and a lot of people will be able to link those two much easier than what I say next, which is the mental and physical costs. So mentally, we know that anxiety isn't good for us, and what we're doing when we're in an imposter-led mindset is we're in a raised anxiety mindset all the time. So we're constantly flooding our body with adrenaline and fear and everything else. Now, cortisol. We know this isn't a good thing. Over time. And it can lead to things like foggy brain, headaches, all sorts of stuff. But the thing is, when we're in that mindset and we're constantly in that high threat state, we cannot think straight. So I was talking to someone the other day who said they were in a meeting and they knew they needed to say something, and the more scared they got, worried about how it was going to come across, the less they could think of what words to say. So when they did speak, it just came out as blah. And then they looked an idiot. They looked a complete idiot. So they created that situation by not controlling their mindset. So that's kind of the mental side of things. But then if we look at the physical side of things, and I've had some really scary cases of this. Let's start with the easy stuff. If I'm running high on adrenaline and cortisol's filling my body and all the rest of it, I'm probably not sleeping very well. I'm waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I can't get back to sleep. We know a sleep deficit isn't good for us in itself. But then we start to see the physical symptoms, rashes, impetigo, eczema. Then we start psoriasis, irritable bowel syndrome, reflux. And I've had people much worse with heart problems. Somebody who was at high risk of a stroke, who was basically told, if you don't change your life, you're going to die. She's 42 years old with 2 young kids. And so she started taking the drugs to lower her blood pressure. She was one who thought, this is perfectly normal, I should be able to just power through. But then she realized what the underlying cause was, which was actually very much related to imposter-led thinking. We worked on that. She's fine. Okay, it's all good. But this isn't a joke, this stuff. This isn't just I don't feel very comfortable here, I feel a bit anxious. This is consistent, persistent, and it leads to mental, physical, and financial losses. And so if you are thinking about working on this, what I would urge people to do is to start to look at those three things and see, how am I feeling? What's going on in my body, and what's it making me do? And therefore, what am I missing out on? And that for some people, they get in touch and say, do you know what? I can handle it, but I'm just fed up with just not enjoying my life. And they just want to have some fun back.
Exactly. So you said about three things that it affects. It's like when I work with my clients, about their health and all of that, we talk about 5 areas.
All right. Okay.
Right. We talk about, their health. Okay, well, like you being overweight, you being, what impact is it having on your health?
Yeah.
What's your sleep like? What's your energy like?
It's all interlinked, yeah.
Yeah. Then it's okay, well, what about your finances? What impact is that having on your finances? So again, like with you, imposter syndrome. Well, what impact is it having on that? And if you don't address it, what impact will it have? Then we talk about our family. Now, again, even like with imposter syndrome, that could have an effect on their family as well, can't it?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the first things that I do when I'm working with someone to help them take control of imposter syndrome, and I say that carefully because it's not about banishing it for life.
No.
Taking control of it more of the time, is we look at the ripple effect, because you'll know this as well as anybody, that people don't change just because they feel it's a good idea. unfortunately, they have to explore the pain of not changing. And part of that is not just how it's impacting me as the sufferer myself, but I also look at how is it affecting your family? How is it affecting your colleagues, your team, your organization, your clients? And until there is a really good reason for change, people just won't. And you think about, a smoker, who I'm sure you'll have come across in your work plenty of times, smokers who want to get fitter. They don't stop smoking just because they feel like stopping smoking. They know it's a bad thing. Usually it takes a life event. So, maybe they have a sudden really serious illness because of smoking, and their child says to them, Mom, Dad, I want you to be alive for my 12th birthday. Suddenly it becomes non-negotiable. And that's what, what your work, my work is the same. With any behavior change, whatever we're trying to change, be it fitness, be it mental fitness, whatever it is, we have to have a really good reason to change. Otherwise, our brain just goes, nah, thanks. Can't be bothered. Yeah, because your brain wants safety, it wants familiarity. Even if it's killing you, it would rather keep killing you knowingly and comfortably than it would do to change and try something new. Because our brains are great, but they're a bit out of date.
Yeah, that's it. Because it's familiar. It's that familiarity. They're used to how it feels, aren't they?
Yeah.
So again, it's like, okay, so if someone is, like having these, they've got this procrastination, they've got that low level anxiety that's always there. They've got that, that stress, they're waking up. Like, from your experience, how would people normally, without intervention, like from yourself, how would they normally try to deal with it?
Mostly people just try and power through. Some people will medicate. I've been there, done that. Sleeping tablets.
With what? So, like, medicate with what?
Sleeping tablets, anti-anxiety meds. And, that's for people that have highly addictive personalities or traits, is really dangerous. I mean, I got seriously addicted to sleeping tablets. And yeah, and it took me a while to get off them. I'm not on them anymore. Occasionally I will have one, but when I absolutely am on my knees, and that's got a lot to do with potential ADHD and just not being able to switch off. There's all sorts of things going on in there. And it's not necessarily about stress and worry. It's just lots of stuff, and family and life and the environment, so people might self-medicate. They might ignore it. Just keep going, and think it's fine. I'm masking really well. You're not. You're leaking it everywhere. I talk about leakage quite a lot, emotional leakage. Yeah. And then people might start to read a book or listen to a podcast, and then maybe they'll do something like they'll listen to, oh God, what's her name? Mel Robbins, and go, oh, right, if there's a problem, I'll just count back from 5 and just do it.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Boom, and fixed now. I don't have a problem with that at all. It doesn't work. It doesn't work for imposter syndrome. It doesn't work to change a habit. It does help give you a kickstart to do something. But, if you want to really change a deep-rooted belief about yourself and a thinking pattern that has been hardwired into your brain, probably for years, for some people it's months, but it's attached to a fear that your brain isn't going to want to ignore anymore, you've got to do the hard work. Reading something, watching a podcast ain't going to change anything. But what it might do is lead you to thinking, actually, there are some ways to do this. And hopefully then you will reach out and get help.
That's it. So right. So these people, right, they've, they're having some medication, they're doing those sorts of things. Again, not addressing the actual issue. It's just putting a Band-Aid over it. They might read a book. They might read they might, listen to a podcast, they might, count back from 5, don't get started on that, would be here for ages. But over time, they will feel that, this is, they might feel like they're doing something. But I'm getting help. I'm managing it through medication to do those. From you, what would be the big ending for someone if they don't address it?
Well, I mean, I don't want to scaremonger anybody, but the truth is, if you're not dealing with the root cause of the problem, you're putting a Band-Aid over a gaping wound. What you're doing is you're dampening down your response to something in some shape or form, which is good for you because it lowers the anxiety a bit. But if you never ever solve the problem, in simple terms, the problem will always be there, and you will always be at a point where you could blow. I mean, I really don't want to scaremonger people at all, because it can just be that you end up with really, really bad eczema all your life. That's uncomfortable. It could be that you are financially in a financial deficit all your life. That can be huge for people. But people that don't manage their anxiety and keep masking and don't solve the problem die sooner. it's that simple. We know that your body is always keeping the score, and if you keep marking notches up on your post every single day, every minute, and all the rest of it for a prolonged period of time, then eventually your body's going to say no thank you. We know people at higher risk of all sorts of illnesses, cancer, everything else. Listen, I'm scared of that myself, because I know I run on quite a lot of high anxiety a lot of the time. But the point is, if you're conscious of when you're doing it, you can at least find something to lower it when it's happening, so you can do it less, which I think gives you more of a chance in life.
Exactly. Again, but like you say, like, people need to be aware of the consequences. They can't just put a band-aid on it, right? So like, if someone was displaying symptoms of imposter syndrome, apart from just going straight, and jumping in and be like, right, I need to, right, I'm procrastinating for the first time in a little while, I need to get Sarah straight away. Right? What would be the first, like, things that they could do themselves just to take the edge off, instead of going for medication or that? Like, what could be the first things that they could do?
Another really good question. So the first thing is, they've done it already. They've noticed. That is
the awareness.
The awareness. Most people don't have the awareness, because 99 to 95% of what we do is running on unconscious thought. And if 11 million bits of information are passing through our brain every single second of every single day, is it any surprise that we are doing things on autopilot so much of the time? So the first step is to be more self-aware. What am I doing, and how do I notice it? So if people aren't aware that they're doing something, the first thing I would be doing is getting them to understand, or getting them to think of a time, to recognize a time when they did get in their own way of success, when they slowed something down, they were procrastinating, whatever it was, whatever the example is for them, and work on, what were you thinking at that time? What were you feeling? And what were you doing? What did it make you do? Now, the point of doing that is that not everybody will notice what they are thinking, and not everyone will notice what they are feeling, because some of us are thinkers, some of us are feelers first. But I know if I get a feeling in my chest or in my stomach, it's a warning sign to me. So what I'm doing is raising my awareness consciously of, if I think like this or I'm feeling like that, hold on a second, interrupt the pattern. Notice what it's making me want to do. The next thing I do, which is harder to do on your own, is think, where is this coming from? So the very first thing people can do is notice their patterns and interrupt them, at least, to go, is this helping me or not? Now, if the answer is no, now I have a chance to respond versus react. But not everybody knows how to do that bit next, because there are some tools and tips that you need to learn to do there, which is, what am I believing to be true? And that could be a hard question, because that belief could be really helpfully unhelpful. And that takes a bit of explanation. And then,
so which also, that question there would, like, earlier on, sorry to just interject there.
Yeah, it's fine.
You like earlier on, you're like, for people, they get this anxiousness about, well, if I was to speak up, and if something stupid in a meeting, then I'm going to lose my job, then someone's there, blah blah blah. That's that spiral, right?
It's the unhelpful,
helpful
thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But that question there is perfect, just to ground that person again. Is that, well, do you actually know that to be true? Like, if he was to speak up in that meeting, and if it was something that wasn't relevant, do you know that to be true, that you are actually going to lose your job just by you having that one thing?
And what's fascinating here is that rationally, people go,
We
look,
know that. Yeah.
No, this isn't true.
Yeah.
And the problem is, because we're emotional beings, and our emotions are 5 times stronger than our rational thought, or something around that. Basically, we're more emotional than rational most of the time, especially when there's stakes are high. it doesn't matter. And with someone who doesn't have imposter syndrome, you can have that conversation, they can go rationally, yeah, you're right, stupid, won't do it again. With someone with imposter syndrome, they go, yes, I get it, but my belief is so strong.
It's strong. That's it. It's strong.
And it's come from somewhere. So now what we have to do is we know it isn't helpful. So where's it coming from? And this is where working with a coach who has a deep understanding of how to get to the deep root of something and expose that's when things can change. And an example of that is I was coaching a mid-level pharmaceutical leader last year or the year before, can't remember, a little while ago, and absolutely primed for promotion to a senior leader type role. Long story short, as soon as he'd had that conversation, his behavior started to change. And the people that he was meant to be impressing to say, yes, I'm ready for a leadership role, started to go, wow, what's going on here? He was coming across rude, short, just really uncomfortable to be around. And what was making it worse was he didn't realize how he'd changed and what he was doing, coming across as. And he was getting annoyed he wasn't getting the promotion. So then he was getting more frustrated, which was leading into the poor behaviors. So long story short, he got recommended to me. And what was underneath all of this, now bearing in mind he's in mid-40s, was at 10 years old, he'd been made fun of doing a presentation in his class for the first time ever. He screwed up. His class laughed at him. His teacher was angry. That's the story he told himself. So back then, a little brain said, standing up and presenting in front of people is a really bad idea. It's scary. This new job would involve lots more presenting to bigger groups. So his brain had done a really clever thing
of keeping him safe,
sabotaging him by going, tell you what, behave like a bit of a dick.
Yeah.
And then you won't get the job. But he had no conscious awareness of this. And I know people listen to this story and think that surely not. I promise you, this is not a story or a one-off. This happens all the time. And not everybody, it doesn't always come from something when they're 10 or 15. For some people, it's happened a year ago, but it was so empowering or disempowering and impactful that the fear has taken over any rational thought whatsoever. So we can have chronic imposter syndrome, which is, it's come from way beyond and it's been there an awfully long time. Or it can be what I describe as acute. Which is it's just come on, but it's still bloody powerful. And I don't know what your question was now, but I got excited and just shared that with you. So
no, it's fine. Yeah, no, but this is the thing it's again, it comes a lot from beliefs. It's like Johnny, when he was 10, he stood up in front of his class and they took fun of him, and his behaviors are now playing out now.
Yeah, it's right? The past informs the future.
Exactly.
But what we don't do in this modern world, or any world really, even before that, is consciously stop and think, what am I believing to be true that is driving these behaviors, that is leading me to get the result that I want? We just think by changing our actions, we'll get different results. We won't. Mindset drives actions, which leads to results that you get. And the mindset is made up of the beliefs that you hold, which sometimes are playing absolute jiggery pokery with your future. So we need to look more. We need to just be, even if we were just 5% more consciously aware, what would we be doing? What would we be in control of? How would we respond versus react? How much more would we be able to achieve? It's worth exploring.
It is. It certainly is. Now, why do you feel like people struggle with it? Is it like because with everything you've just said there, it's a lot of self-reflecting, right? And some people don't like to reflect on themselves.
Yeah.
And also, like something that you mentioned there is I mentioned with my clients, it's all about responding instead of reacting, which is very, very powerful, right? Are you responding to that situation, or are you reacting to that event, right? Now, like I've got opinions on this, but for you, like, why do you feel like people struggle with this self-reflecting and just taking the time now to be able to do that?
the most, well, the one that lies underneath everything, it's scary. I don't want to know. I don't know what I want. We don't like feedback generally as humans because we don't like to, it puts us into a fear response. So as soon as we're getting feedback, even if we're giving it to ourselves, it can put us into a threat response. Thanks, James. So it's tough. It's really, really tough. And you talked earlier about what stops people from doing something about it. One of the biggest things is fear of what I'll find out. I have done so much deep work on myself, on my brain for the last 25 years with counseling, with coaching, and then back and forth and back and forth. And I have always been scared about what I'm going to find out. And you can resist and you can resist, but until you find out the truth and accept that part of it is you, it's your responsibility, your fault, you've co-created this situation. That's a hard thing to swallow. You're not going to go anywhere. So it's hard for people.
It's hard because first of all, you got to accept responsibility.
Yeah.
Right. You need to accept the responsibility, right? Yeah. Okay. But also, like for people, like you say, is that coming on, they're progressing and all of that through their careers and that as well. They also have to have that identity shift, which I feel a lot of people struggle with.
It requires energy.
No, but it's new. Like it's that familiarity, though, isn't it?
Yeah, and this is the problem with our brains: is they are amazing, and they're untapped, so untapped. But because our brains are hardwired to keep us alive, that doesn't mean that you need to learn something, that you want to learn something new or you want to try something new. What it does is it goes, I'll look at that new thing you want me to do, but actually I'd rather keep that energy for making your heart pump. Thank you very much. Or something else, because it's always in survival mode. We're hardwired for survival. So anything that requires change or something new or different, it threatens us because it means, I might have to change something. So our jobs in what both of us do is about helping people see that change is not just necessary and beneficial, but it's not as difficult as you think it's going to be, and calming down the nervous system enough to go, okay, I'm open to it. I'm open to listening. This is why it's so hard to change on your own, to learn something on your own, because we've got that constant battle going on in the background and we're scared.
Yeah, but Sarah, I'm in my 40s. I should know it all. I should be able to do this.
Yeah. I'm in my 50s and I should know it all. I should be able to do this too.
But that's the narrative, though, isn't it? It's like, no. I don't need to get
out. It's too late. I'm 55 now. It's too late.
Yeah. No, but that's it as well, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's a narrative as well.
It's a self-protection narrative that stops us from changing, growing, developing.
Yeah.
And listen, it's not for everybody. Not everybody wants to have the clarity, the confidence, the courage that it brings, the freedom that it brings. And that's okay. Because for the ones of us the people that do, the ones of us, that was bad English, for the people that do, it helps us, I call it shining brightly. It helps us stand out even more for all the right reasons. And so if you want to be one of those, then you have to do the deep work. You have to make the decisions. You have to do the hard work. And if you don't want to be one of those, that's cool. It's fine.
Perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Exactly. Cool. Sarah, is there like anything else about imposter syndrome that you feel that people like watching this, listening to this, that would could stand out the most? Like just to be like, boom, like we said about earlier about, how does it show up? We've spoken about the consequences. We've spoken about, well, if you actually address it, like that this could actually happen as well, like the positives for you addressing it.
Mm-hmm.
We've spoken about some actions that they can take about, just having that awareness.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
What to help people do what?
Well, just to understand, like
Understand it.
anything else about imposter syndrome, like from your expertise in this. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with regarding it?
I think probably the easiest thing and the most important thing to remember is that the most important thing to remember, this is a choice. And this often flummoxes people, is they think it's not a choice. Now, our innate response to something is not a choice, all right? It's a learned innate response. But what we do have a choice in now is being more self-aware and noticing how we're reacting, and then choosing how we respond, what we do next. So it just gives us a bit more control. We can choose to do nothing, by the way, but even by noticing and choosing to be ineffective or less effective, at least we've got the power of choice. I can still choose to procrastinate, but I know I'm doing it. And I'm like, okay, off you go.
Yourself. That's it, right.
And knowing that I'm doing it rather than kidding myself is saves some energy. It doesn't always stop you. It doesn't help necessarily, but at least you're more consciously aware of what you're doing. But I would just say, remember this, if you remember nothing else, this is a choice, and it doesn't have to stay that way. You do not have to keep making those choices. You can learn to make better ones if you want to. And this isn't also just about imposter syndrome. This is about biased thinking.
Yeah.
This is about unhealthy thinking patterns that I think I'm right. If you think of leaders who are going into a coaching session going, oh, well, I know exactly what this person needs to do, and I'll basically force them down that route. That's not helpful thinking. That is biased thinking. And this work that I'm talking about breaks biased thinking, whether it's imposter syndrome or just unhelpful thinking patterns. So
that's it. Also, saying you just said there about, about procrastination, then just, for example, like just taking the time out on social media and then feeling bad about it, and about it, reframing that situation as in like, no, you know what, I'm actually going to allow myself to just mind-numbingly scroll.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit and stare at Facebook for an hour.
Exactly. no, but by you allowing yourself to do that and then being kind to yourself, could that eventually in turn help that person as well?
Absolutely. It's a slow burn.
Yeah, no, of course, it's not going to get the but just to,
but it's little things, isn't it?
Yeah.
All these little layers do help. So if I am kinder to myself, and you're talking about coming off social media, I was a slave to LinkedIn for the last 3 years, an absolute slave, and I had to consciously break away over Christmas and stop going on it, and I'm now on it once, twice a week. I can't tell you how much anxiety that put me through. It was like breaking a drug habit. We get so addicted to it, but I had to allow myself to go through that pain to get off it and realize that nothing bad was going to happen. So talking about any little thing that you're doing that helps you is going to be a long-term help, because what that's done is I now no longer feel guilty on a Monday that I haven't got a post out there. So I'm not wasting time feeling guilty or thinking, or doom scrolling, I must comment, because it's not going to actually make my difference to my business or my life. That's the truth of it. It's a shop window. That's it. Let's get over it. So little things that we can do that will help us have a long-term impact. And if we do lots of little things, it has a positive impact on us. So like allowing yourself to doom scroll, or whatever you want to call it. Actually, you don't call it that, just scrolling.
Just scrolling, yeah.
Scrolling.
No negativity, yeah.
Just scrolling. And not coming off it at the end go, oh, I shouldn't have done that. No, what I will do is I will scroll for half an hour and I will say that was fun. And then I will go and do something else. And that has a very different message to your brain than, you idiot, you've wasted half an hour of your life, which is what we do.
Exactly. Cool. Thank you, Sarah. So Sarah, come on, let's have a plug. If people want to find out more about you yourself, okay, so we know you've got your book. If you'd like to just, what's it called? Have you got a copy there? Cool.
What's it called? Of course I've got a copy here.
Oh, it is back to front. So what's it called?
Oh, it's it's Leader Unleashed. I should have changed the direction on my camera. So it's Leader Unleashed. Now it's written for leaders who are returning to work after time out, whatever that reason may be. It was written during COVID when a lot of people were being made redundant at senior leadership level, and suddenly mojo and everything gone, confidence gone. So it's written with them in mind, but actually it's a book about how to take control of imposter syndrome. It talks about examples when you're going in for a new role, what to do and how to be really successful in your first 90 days, not allowing low levels of confidence to ruin your chances, because the incidence of onboarding failure is high, especially at the senior leadership level. So you can find that on Amazon. Just to say that I talk about the 5 steps that I use to help people take control of imposter syndrome, and in the book it's called Eagle. It's now called Spark. It's exactly the same thing, but there's been a rebrand, a refresh, so don't worry about that. You can also find me on LinkedIn. I'm only here once or twice a week. Actually, I'm here probably a bit more than that, but I will respond to messages on LinkedIn, and also my website, brightandbrilliant.com. Everything's on there, and I don't just help people with imposter syndrome. I work with a group of associates as well, that we do all sorts of training programs for leaders at all levels. Some of them I run myself, and others who are more expert run other ones. But if you are looking at developing your leadership team from a self-leadership, confidence, or a people leadership side of thing, then speak to me. We can help.
Perfect. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for taking the time out today. And we got there in the end.
We got there. It didn't look like it was going to happen, but we did it. We persevered. Adam, thank you for having me. And thank you for letting me come and talk about my favourite topic.
You are welcome. You are welcome. So thank you so much. So that is today's episode of Reclaim Your Edge. Now, if something you heard today hit home, don't just nod along. Like, pick one insight and take action in the next 24 hours. And that is how your edge is going to come back over time. Now, if you found it useful, please follow along. Connect with us on LinkedIn, follow us on YouTube, and share it with someone who needs it. And that is how the fastest way that we can help people. And if you want to connect with myself, I'm Adam Alexander. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, also on Instagram at Mr. Adam Alexander, and also on YouTube as well. And I will see you in the next episode, where I'm speaking to Daniel Gainsford.
I will listen in.
Perfect.